Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tiger Talk. Gerard Walbrock with you as we talk Fort Hays State basketball with women's coach Tony Hobson and men's coach Mark Johnson. We're at Horizon Appliance and Mattress.
It's time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Presented by Horizon Appliance and Mattress. The lowest prices on kitchen and laundry appliances, Traeger grills, and accessories. And most importantly, mattresses. Open 7 days a week at 1501 East 27th in Hays. Horizon Appliance and Mattress. Tiger Talk is also brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hays and Ellis. The Hays Med Orthopedic Institute, part of the University of Kansas Health System. The Certified Public Accountants of Adams, Brown, Barron, and Ball. BTI, The Taco Shop, G&L Tire and Automotive.
And a good Monday, and welcome to Tiger Talk. Gerard Walbrock with you. We are at Horizon Appliance and Mattress, 1501 East 27th at Hays. We'll be talking Fort Hays State men's and women's basketball. Head women's coach Tony Hobson joins us here just momentarily. Men's coach Mark Johnson a little bit later on in the program. Kind of a rough start for the Tigers. Both teams 0-2 in conference play, losing Tuesday night of last week up in Kearney and then Saturday afternoon in Emporia against Emporia State. Now it's finals week this week. Not a lot of action. The women play Wednesday against Bethany. The men will be at home Sunday afternoon taking on Kansas Wesleyan. We'll get into all of that as we move along. We are at Horizon Appliance and Mattress, where you'll find the lowest prices on kitchen and laundry appliances, Traeger grills, and of course all the big mattresses out back. 1501 East 27th. We're right when you walk in the door today. And boy, if you need those Christmas gift ideas, stop on by. They've got a lot of them. The big appliances, the small appliances, of course your Traeger grill headquarters. They've got the grills, but they've got all the accessories. They've got the wood pellets, plus all the rubs and different spices you might need right here at Horizon Appliance and Mattress. We now bring in head coach Tony Hobson. I guess the sun did come out today. You will still play more basketball, but kind of a strange place right now. Your team on a two-game losing streak, and I guess you get spoiled easily. Your program has won so many games. You haven't had many two-game losing streaks in the last 4, 5, 6 years, so it's a little strange after the kind of a rough week last week for your team.
Well, it's not a position anybody wants to be in. You don't want to lose your first two in the conference and be 0-2. But that's the situation. So now you just have to figure out a way to deal with it and try to improve on the things that have cost you those games and move on.
Obviously, two tough opponents, both on the road. I mean, Nebraska Kearney is going to beat a lot of teams, especially on their home floor, and Emporia is going to beat a lot of teams on their home floor. So it was a very difficult start, and I guess probably what makes it frustrating is you had leads in the fourth quarter, and it looked like you're in a good position to win. And for the most part, your teams have done that. They've seized it, but for whatever reason, these last two just kind of slipped away from them.
Well, we haven't been able to finish off those games very well, especially up at Kearney, the first one. We had a 12-point lead early in the fourth quarter, and we should have been able to finish that game and come out on top. But we're just making too many critical errors defensively and leaving shooters open, and then when they get excited and their whole demeanor changes and it's a whole different ballgame. So I don't know what it is for sure. Maybe it's a little fatigue at the end. Maybe we need to get a little more out of our bench earlier in the game. And that's a two-edged sword there, because first they need an opportunity, but then they need to do something when they're in there too. So it's it's a little on me, and then they just have to keep working hard to try to improve what they're doing. So I'm not sure what it is, but hopefully we'll be able to get it turned around. And like I said, it's we're kind of used to T kind of bailing us out, and you see a little bit of that, but I see some kids trying to step up. We just haven't been able to make that big shot that we needed to down the stretch.
Really the case Saturday against Emporia. I mean, you kind of summed it up well after the game. I mean, they hit a few big shots down the stretch. You missed a few good shots down the stretch. And when you're playing a team that, they're pretty equal, you're on their home floor, that's sometimes the difference, and that proved to be.
Yep. Well, that's usually what it amounts to, is it was going back and forth. we got up on them early because we made our first 6 or 7 shots, and then we missed a few and they made a few. They catch us, and then we get behind. I think 9 in the second quarter, hit a 3 right at the buzzer. Then we blow by them in the third quarter and get up 5. And all it is those, you've worked so hard to get an open look. Both of us were, and it's just a matter of, can you make that shot when the time comes? And if you don't, you get beat, and you have to hit your free throws. And it's just it's an accumulation of a lot of things. And like you said, we weren't 30-point favorites going in and get beat at home like you've seen on in the last few weeks on all levels. These are tough teams, and they're on the road. They were picked high in the league, both in the top half, and like you said, a lot of teams will find trouble there. But I still think we should have been able to beat both of them, and I think our kids do too. But those games are over, so you have to try to learn something from them and move on.
And you mentioned still it feels like maybe adjusting to life without Tatiana Leggett, because you said she could just take over games and bail you out sometimes. And rebounding looks like improving, but then there's still stretches in games where it isn't. It just kind of feels like the team is still trying to figure maybe new roles and just how this group is going to play as the season advances.
Well, I think one thing that I've noticed as you try to reflect and try to figure these things out, we don't all show up on the same night every night. I mean, like up at Kearney, I thought 2 or 3 kids played really great, and then I thought a couple were kind of off a little bit. It's like it's not a purposeful thing. It just is. And then the other night we had Taylor have a career night, but Lainey wasn't herself, and so that just kills us. We have to have everybody. We have to have all hands on deck for games like that. And like I said, it isn't anything where Lainey had a great game up at Kearney. I thought she played hard, played great. And, I don't know if she just wasn't feeling quite right or whatever. We had a hard time getting Belle into the flow offensively Saturday night. I mean, she got 1 shot. I think she got another one and got fouled. But in that zone, it's just it kind of takes her out of it a little bit. So, whatever it is, it's never any one person that wins a game usually, and it's never one that loses it. It's the team, and it's a bunch of little stuff that we just have to clean up.
Well, the Tigers have a little break before conference play resumes after the first of the year, but still more basketball before they break before Christmas. We are at Horizon Appliance and Mattress, where you'll find the lowest prices on kitchen and laundry appliances, both the big and small appliances. Of course, Traeger grills and mattresses are at 1501 East 27th in Hayes. We will take our first break. We've got more straight ahead right here on Tiger Talk along the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
I'm Patty Stoll, Coldwell Banker Executive Realty. We want your dreams to become a reality. Coldwell Banker Executive Realty prides itself in putting you first.
Page inbounds along the right baseline, gets it into Rolfs in the corner, back to Laney, spins around Bacchus, reverse layup, she got it to go. Laney Page, first basket, pulls the Tigers within 1. A 6-0 run by Fort Hays State. They're down 17-16. That was some of the action from up in Kearney last Tuesday. Fort Hays State falling to the Lopers in that one, 73-65. I don't know that description paid justice to the shot Laney had. I was in traffic, spinning away from the basket. We kind of talked about it last week. She's gotten better in near the rim, and that was a good example early on in that game for her. And as you said, really played well, and a lot of things that maybe don't show up on stat sheets in that game. Thought she did a good job in that contest.
Well, she did. I thought she defensively, to open the second half, I thought she controlled the game. I think she had blocks the first three possessions, and we were down at half, and we came back and took the lead. they had one kid that kept trying to post up, and just you just have a hard time shooting over her. So I thought she played hard, and she didn't hit many threes, but she scored a couple times inside and had some key blocks, and just usual good floor game for her.
I know we talked about it a lot. Nebraska Kearney, and obviously their program has gotten better and their teams have gotten better, but boy, the last 3-4 years it seems like it's been a nail biter. 3 overtime games, and I think the last 8 wins for you guys with them, 3 of them have come in overtime. Mm-hmm. Most of them have been inside 10 points. I think an average of 6 or so points per game in those wins. It's always tough. It's always tough on their home floor, and it's kind of, I think you said it last week, they're Super Bowl and they play like it. And they have a few kids step up who don't normally hit threes, hit a couple each, and you start getting those things to go together. It makes it tough. You almost got to be 10 or 15 points better on the road against teams like that.
Well, and then you see you see the final margin and you think it was comfortable, but really that was about a one possession game. We fouled them a couple times down the stretch, and if just one of those threes doesn't go and we rebound the ball, we win the game at the crucial time. So it's just a matter of like we've talked about, a shot goes in and it changes the whole complexion of things. But we've been playing with fire up there several times and escaped with just first degree burns. Last year we're down 20 in the third quarter, come back and beat them in overtime. We beat them in overtime 3 years ago. We haven't ever been beat up there. So since in the last 12 years, that was our first time. And like I said, we'd been lucky to escape up there before. So it's just it's a matter of time. If you keep playing those tight games, you're eventually they're going to get you. You just don't want them to be that tight, but they're going to be, because they're much improved, and they play hard, and they've got a really good sophomore class. They've got 2 or 3 kids that are definitely good MIAA players.
And then obviously that put more pressure on Saturday's game in Emporia, and that's another place. Wins have been scarce up there for Fort Hays State for a while. And you've been in, last year lost by 3. You've been in all of them, and a lot of them have been just like you saw on Saturday. And it comes down to kind of like we talked in the first segment, can you hit a key shot late? That was, I think, when the loss last year was the situation. You missed a couple of good looks down the stretch, or you get that win. And the way they play, it's a little bit different now with Coach Wynn. I mean, zone all 40 minutes, but really pressuring, and for the most part you handled it, but it's taxing for 40 minutes to go up against the style of play they have now.
Well, it is, and that's when I was talking about maybe getting a little more bench time, a little more time for our bench. Jaden had no issue breaking the press. She had 9 or 10 assists. She was finding the open person, and that's early on. We were getting open shots, and we had everything under control. Then they came back and went 3/4 court and half court zone and trapping and things, and then she got her second foul halfway through that second quarter. So we sat her the rest of the half, and things didn't work very well. Yeah. We were breaking their press okay, but we weren't getting open looks in the half court, and you just to score on that, you have to attack. You can't sit back on your heels, or they will devour you. So, you just have to stay aggressive. And so I think maybe we got a little tired, because I don't think I took Jaden out second half. So I know with that intensity that went in that game, she had to probably be a little tired towards the end. But we had to have her in there because she was really handling their pressure better than anybody else we had.
Yeah, you're up 9, then fell behind 9 late in the second, got it to within 6 on the midi 3, and then took the lead in the third, and it kind of, don't see it very often, but you had like a 5-minute stretch in that second quarter, kind of when Jaden came out, where you guys didn't score, and then a 5-minute stretch in the fourth quarter where it was a tight game. They ended up going up by 9, but you go 10 minutes in a 40-minute game without scoring. That's tough.
Well, it is, and we weren't getting to the line. We don't have a lot of like penetration shots where we're chance of drawing fouls, and that's how their defense is. Their defense is they want to not put you on the line, make you take threes and rebound the ball, and and then you have to guard them on the other end. So, you can't have those kind of lulls, and we're used to doing that to other teams.
Yeah.
And where we only score 2 or 4 points, but they don't score at all, and we still gain ground by having those little droughts. So it's probably not a lot different than what we're used to, except we can't shut them completely down like we have in the past, and we have to either get a bunch better at offense at those times, or a bunch better at defense, one or the other. We either one way or the other, maybe a little both. But we just, we have to make those plays down the stretch and against these good teams.
Seemed like you attacked the zone. You're able to get it in to maybe belt the high post and not have to just rely on three-point shooting. And that has at times been a problem in the past, but it felt like your team was attacking, by and large, for the most part, the zone fairly well on Saturday.
Well, I thought we got good shots. And, we only turned the ball over 13 times. They played Kearney on Thursday night, and Kearney turned it over 31 times. So I was wondering, okay, I thought Kearney looked like they handled the ball okay. Mm-hmm. I was really concerned, but 13 turnovers against that defense for 40 minutes is good, because a lot of times if you don't turn it over, you get a good shot. Mm-hmm. So, you just don't know. You just need to find another basket. You need to find one more basket, and you need to stop them one time, and you win the game. We did miss a couple point-blank ones there late, but that's easy to do at any level. You've seen it everywhere. I've seen NBA guys miss dunks, and Taylor had a great game shooting the ball, and she got a good offensive rebound there late. And, it's one of those where you're so open that you're kind of like, and then she kind of put it up there quick, afraid she's going to get it blocked, and missed it. And I think Whitney Randall was in there tight one time that it set up on the rim for about 3 seconds and did not go. So, either one of those go, and we're in probably pretty good shape. But, again, they don't, so you have to find another way.
Now the Tigers will get a tune-up here at home on Wednesday and then get set for a trip to Florida. We'll talk about those games, which should be big-time games coming up next week. We will take another break. We are at Horizon Appliance and Mattress, 1501 East 27th in Hayes. Great appliances, big and small. Of course, your Traeger grill headquarters, all the wood pellets you might need, all the accessories for the barbecuer in your house who might need some different spices and rubs, or the different accessories for the Traeger grill, or maybe a new Traeger grill. They can hook you up with a lot of different models here. And, of course, the great mattress selection, all at Horizon Appliance and Mattress. We'll take a break. More from Tiger Talk here at Horizon Appliance and Mattress on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here.
It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM.
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
4 Day State trying to attack that 2-3 zone, which has been pretty good for the Hornets. Kennett left elbow to Rolf's right wing. A three is good. Taylor Rolf's having the game of her life. 18 points. That is her fourth three, and the Tigers cut it to three. 38-35. So just as they started the game with a Taylor Rolf's three, she has that 9-point deficit trimmed down to three. Yeah, Taylor had a heck of a game. Career-high 6 threes, career-high 28 points, and she'd probably like to bottle up White Auditorium and take it with her everywhere. She had a big game against them a year ago. She's a good shooter, got good looks, but she was really on fire Saturday.
Well, she was, and when she gets in a rhythm, she can score with the best of them. She does really do well against zones because she's more of a stationary, spot shooter. She's got good size, so she can kind of see over the defense sometimes. And then I think she works really well with Jaden. I mean, she kind of just knows that she'll find her, so she's ready to catch and shoot. Because a lot of those, she did not delay, and I think you shoot the ball a lot better when you just are ready to shoot it. Don't hesitate, and don't worry about being open. And so open, and you don't notice the person running at you. So she did. She had a good game, and hopefully that just gets her going, and she can keep that up as we move forward.
All right, always an interesting week, finals week this week. You'll play on Wednesday against Bethany College, which obviously I think is just be an important game just to kind of get a good feeling again and hopefully find a way to get into the win column. But how do you handle finals week? Because obviously that's an important part of it, and everybody wants to do well in their classes here this final week. But I know you still want to practice and get your team better, and you have a game to play as well.
Well, I approach it different as a coach than I did as a player, because as a player, I look forward to, you might only have one test a day. So it was kind of like almost a semi-week off. Maybe I wasn't quite serious enough student. But,
surely not.
I definitely had my priorities, and and the tests probably weren't one of them. But I loved it when I was playing that week because it seemed like it was more basketball and actually less because you're either prepared for your finals or you're not. You can't. If you're not going into finals week, there's no way to catch up. So I think most of our kids are such good students, and they have their priorities straight, that I think they're so caught up that I think it's not like it's an afterthought, but I think they're prepared. So it isn't as stressful as a week as it would be for somebody that's on the borderline of being eligible and having to pass a test. I think our kids have all been, they've got their classes up to date, and it isn't like they have to hand in a whole bunch of stuff because they haven't taken care of their business up to this point. So, you just you have to schedule practices around their tests, and hope that they can just concentrate enough to play and practice. And that's why you don't really, people try not to schedule conference games, and our conference doesn't have the regular schedule during test week, but a lot of times you don't. Different schools have it different weeks,
exactly.
So it might fall. So, I've found that I've had teams play great during finals week. I've had them play terrible. So I don't think it matters one way or the other. I think some of them are concerned about their finals, so they play loose basketball, and they play better. So it can go either way, just like about everything. It just sometimes you cannot figure it out.
Well, Bethany, a team from the KCAC that's I think they're 8-5, but upper half. Good defensively. They don't allow a lot of points, and one of those games, again, Fort Hays State's the better team, but you still got to come out and play, because if you don't, they can give you some fits.
Well, it's like a lot of times with the favorite. We have better players, but sometimes the team with better players doesn't win. Mm-hmm. So you still have to come out and play and concentrate. And I would be pretty shocked if we didn't come out ready to play Wednesday. I think they will look forward to that opportunity just to play at home and get back on the winning track and try to gain a little traction as we go down to Florida and play a couple of toughies. So I don't see any problem getting them prepared for this week.
And then you'll head to Florida. Should be a fun trip. But, boy, two huge games. And in light of now the 0-2 start to conference play, Harding, a region school, St. Anselm, and a Elite Eight team a year ago. And I didn't look this last week. They were undefeated going in. So, two big games that will have a lot of implications down the road, and great opportunities for your team down in Florida.
Well, it's going to be a big thing for the region. Just because now the spot we've kind of put ourselves in, if we can right the ship in conference, we still have to play well in these games down there. Just to, like you said, Harding is a tough team. They already beat Emporia by a dozen earlier in the year, so they'll be our first team we play, and they're a man-to-man team. They've got a good 6-foot kid that leads them in scoring, and their point guard is their second leading scorer. They've got a nice combination, and they're a good team. And then St. Anselm, they're the number one team in their region right now. They're still undefeated. They're 8 or 9-0. Don't know a lot about them. Just what I've seen on film. So it'll be two tough ones and you kind of hesitate to go on these trips and play real tough teams because you don't ever know what kind of officials you're going to get, and how ready your team's going to be, and if they can even play when they wake up and see the ocean outside their you just don't know. But again, I've taken teams to these situations before, and you'd be surprised they can goof around all day and show up at the game and have some of their best games. And so I just think it just depends on the individual. They're either the way I figured, they're either going to be ready to play or they're not. And my job is to find the ones that are ready to play, and they will be the ones on the floor. And if somebody's got a sunburn, they're probably not going to get a play because they might not be ready. So hopefully we will enjoy the little time away from the weather and enjoy it and play well at the same time, because like you said, they could have huge impact later on the season.
Well, I probably won't have a lot of sunburn. I won't expose enough skin to do that down there, but certainly looking forward to the trip, looking forward to 2 big basketball games against some pretty big-time foes, and I guess we'll see Wednesday night as you take on Bethany College. I guess first things first, get through that one, then look ahead to that trip next week.
Okay. Well, thanks, Gerard.
You bet. That's Tony Hobson, coach of the Fort Hays State women. Again, they'll be in action on Wednesday night taking on Bethany College, their final home game of the semester. We need to take another break. We'll do that right now. When we come back, we'll talk with men's coach Mark Johnson. He'll join us after the break here on Tiger Talk, along the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
Who is Horizon Appliance? Today there are 3 different styles of mattresses to choose from, starting with your traditional coil spring mattress, made mostly of coil with your comfort layer on top.
And secondly, we have the hybrid mattress, which is 50% coil, 50% foam.
Finally, we have our specialty mattresses, which are a foam support layer with a comfort layer on top. Stop in, take the rest test, and let us help you find the mattress of your dreams. Horizon Appliance, here to help you.
Head on the shot clock. Now Wright brings it back out high. Works to his right. Finds Bitstam for a 3. Good! He nailed it! Fort Hays State hits 3s on each of their first 3 possessions, and Nebraska Kearney calls a timeout. Yeah, good start last Tuesday up at the Health and Sports Center, but unfortunately did not last for Fort Hays State as they end up losing to the Lopers and then have a tough one in Emporia on Saturday, falling to Emporia State by 3. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. We're at Horizon Appliance and Mattress at 1501 East 27th in Hays. They've got a lot of great Christmas gift ideas. Big appliances, small kitchen appliances, the KitchenAid mixers, which are always a big deal, and, of course, the Traeger grills, full line of different models and styles and sizes, plus all the rubs and the different seasonings, plus the Traeger grill accessories, and, of course, a huge selection of different wood pellet flavors. So stop on by, and a great mattress selection out back in the back of the store as well here at Horizon Appliance and Mattress. They're your Tempur-Pedic elite retailer at 1501 East 27th in Hays. We bring in head coach Mark Johnson, and as we just talked with Tony Hobson, kind of a rough week for everybody. Both teams go 0-2 to start conference play. Obviously, 2 difficult games, and you kind of touched on it. I think after the Emporia game, you don't want to make any excuses, but that was 7 out of 8 games on the road for your squad, and whether it had an effect or not, but that's tough for anybody to do, and it'll be nice for your squad, I'm sure, to get some home games here now after that rigorous stretch to start the year.
Yeah, it'd be nice. We get 5 straight coming at home, as you know, before the break, then right after the break. And yeah, the scheduling is just hard to do. Like I always say, you don't get to call a team up and said, you're going to play us here at this time on this date. It was just what happened was this is the year where all of our non-conference games are on the road, and it just so happened this is the year where we open up on the road in conference. Next year it's totally opposite. We don't play a non-conference home game or a road game. I'm sorry, they're all at home, and we open up at home. So our first 8 games will be at home next year, so that'll be a nice change. But it's been difficult. You look at our opening week, there was 14 MIAA games played, conference games. The road teams went 3-11. I mean, that's college basketball. It is, road makes a huge difference. Hey, do you have to overcome that? And if you want to have a good year, you have to win on the road. There's no excuses. But, we need to just keep working. The sky hasn't fallen, and we need to try to get better every day. And really what we need to do is we're just so inconsistent by performances. And one game our guards play really good, and then the next day they don't. The next game they don't, and now we're up in the air. Do we need to change? We just need more consistency from everyone involved, and try to figure out what's best lineup and best way for us to move forward and be successful.
We talked going into the Kearney game last Tuesday about it'd be nice to shoot the ball well, because you haven't in that building, it seems like, for not just your teams, it seems like forever. Fort Hays State has struggled up at the Health and Sports Center, and you got off to that good start. You hit the first 3 threes, and you knew it was going to be, you don't maintain that, but it looked like it might be your night. But, boy, unfortunately, you got that lead up to, I think, a dozen, and just that late part of that first half was probably the key. You're up 12 and up 10 and had a couple of chances to maybe either maintain it or build on it, couldn't get it done, and that's kind of like playing with fire when you're on the road. And Kearney's just, they're good enough, especially on their home floor. They took advantage of that.
Yeah, that's really when the game was, lost at times. You look at the last part of the game so many times, but there's so many times throughout the game you could have had a different outcome. And, yeah, we got off. We struggled to shoot the ball there, and we came out and hit 3 threes, and 2 of the 3 were kind of hard shots. So, you're kind of like, if those are the shots we're going to get, we're going to have a hard time maintaining. But I think after those first 3, we finished 1 for 10, and we just right now aren't getting enough easy baskets. the 2 things, like even you go to the Emporia game, we shoot 47% from 3, but you only shoot 43 for the game. That's supposed to be that's supposed to be opposite. Your overall field goal percentage is supposed to be higher than your 3-point shooting percentage because you're closer to the rim. We're just having 2 things. We're having a hard time finishing inside the paint. We got to do a better job. One, we got to throw it inside. Those guys got to finish better. We just even got to finish in traffic better. And then we're just not getting enough assists. You go play, we have 5 assists. That's hard to do. We just don't have our guys aren't creating enough plays for each other at times, and it's hard to be successful and score enough points. Our defense probably was good enough if our offense was better. It's not good enough when we're playing offense like this, you know what I mean? And so we have to become even a slightly better defensive team.
You did have 12 assists in the Kearney game, which is a high number so far for this team.
Yeah. We just got to do a better job. Obviously Devin can create, but we also need him to score. That's that balance with we need him to still get his 15 a game, but he also needs to be one of our better creators and get some assists. Nige's got to do a better job. You can't have your point guard. I think Nige's stuck on 9 assists in 8 games. That's just can't happen. Aaron had a few assists the other day. And really, Perry, Alvin probably aren't getting quite enough minutes right now to really make a major impact in that. I think Jake Hutchins is a guy, he has 1 assist on the year. He's actually a 4-man that can kind of put it on the floor. He needs to be able to hit the guy on the drive and create a few more opportunities than he is right now for others.
And you kind of mentioned it even after the game on Saturday, getting Perry, getting Alvin involved. They've obviously had their moments where they've played well this year, but still trying to figure it out when to get their minutes, and then obviously for them when they get them to take advantage and be successful, but still seems like it's kind of a work in progress in that regard.
It's just hard this year, and a lot of some of our better players all play the same position, so it's like, hey, let's try. Alvin's had a good run. Alvin played well. I think he even had 11 at Kearney. He had 23 against Sterling. He had 12 against SBU. He's played well. Well, hey, Nige and Aaron had a hot hand, so, that's the problem. Perry'd like to get him going. Well, again, when those guys are playing well, it's hard to get them out. So I don't know if we just need to go really small at times. And, you even look at the front line at times. Our 2 best offensive players are Jake and Jared, and they're kind of similar players, the same player. So that's, I think, the struggle we're trying to figure out somewhat is – what group and how to do this, and you're just so afraid of being so small. I thought a big factor, Calvin, quite frankly, isn't getting a whole lot done on the offensive end right now, and he needs to find his offense, but he did just by putting his height on number 10 against Emporia makes a difference. So, where if Perry and Alvin don't have that size to go do that. So, that's kind of the things we're having a hard time with, just putting the pieces together.
And you went a little bit bigger Saturday. Jackson Miller got a few more minutes, especially in the first half, and gave you some contribution there. So it looked like you're trying to go a little bit bigger with that lineup on Saturday.
Well, if we're not going to score, we better guard better. You know what I mean? And that's that kind of, you sit there, our 2 conference games, we've scored 66 and 60. You're just going to have a hard time winning games in today's world. I'm back, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when I made our guys run for every point over 65. If we ever gave up 65 points in a game, you were running. I think the shot clock is quicker now. It was 35 back then or whatever it was. Now it's 30. The three-point shot has been more prevalent. So it's harder to do that, to hold people under 65. But that used to be, and we were more athletic guys, and we're probably more physically able to guard at a high level than maybe we are right now, just from a personnel standpoint. So, that's the dilemma. Do we go smaller and try to maybe we can score 10 or 12 more points a game, but we're going to give up 10 or 12 more points a game, or go bigger, score less, but even try to hold the team even less? This is what happens when you're 4-4. You know what I mean? When you're 8-0, all the answers are there for you, and it's clear. But we just need to be more consistent. And I think, like I said, it's not all on our schedule by any means. We got to be better, and I don't know if our margin for error is necessarily great by any means. But also, we can't panic. I do think I've had a lot of teams in the past that if we had this schedule might be in the same boat, you know what I mean, and be in the same situation as we are right now. And we just need to keep building.
Well, the Tigers will be back in action. They get a week here to practice along with finals week. We'll talk about Kansas Wesleyan, who's next up on the schedule on Sunday. We are at Horizon Appliance and Mattress at 1501 East 27th in Hayes, where they have the lowest prices on their kitchen and laundry appliances, the big ones, the washers, the dryers, the stoves, the microwaves, the refrigerators and freezers, but of course the little appliances, the KitchenAid mixers, which are always a big hit for Christmas, so stop on by. And of course all the Traeger grills and accessories, the wood pellets, the spices, the seasonings, the rubs, they've got it all here at Horizon Appliance and Mattress, 1501 East 27th in Hayes. We'll take our final break. More with Mark Johnson and men's basketball right here on Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayespost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, Real Country. 99 KZ Country.
Top of the key, Davis. Left wing, Bitstam. Now far corner, Harrington. Back out high to Nige. Right off a screen from Miller. Top of the key, 3. He knocked it in. Nige right with his first basket of the game. And the Tigers lead by 3, 32-29. Their biggest lead this afternoon. Oh, Nige got on fire, 19 points, 6 of 7 from the floor, a couple of threes, hit all 5 of his free throws, and obviously you'd like him to distribute the ball more, but kind of showed the explosiveness he can have offensively for you in that game against Emporia State Saturday.
Yeah, he waits till we're behind, and it's late in the game. That's what we've tried to tell him. You got to be more aggressive at all times. He's one of those rare kids you have that you – push to be do more. Most kids you're telling back off. I can only imagine. I would love to have had a coach told me to do more. You know what I mean? But he just doesn't do it enough. You know what I mean? And he's not consistent with what I think he's capable of doing. And like I told him today in practice, obviously that's a negative for you, but more importantly, that's a negative for all of us. You're hurting our team because you're not being aggressive enough and utilizing your talents and all that. And he's a nice guy, super nice guy, kind of unassuming, passive person in general. And we've talked about it over and over. He's got to get that when he gets on the floor. His personality has to change.
Yeah, find that light switch to you hear so much often in football that way and get that aggressiveness. Jared Vitztum, 12 rebounds, tied a career high against Emporia State. Of course, had that big game a year ago. I think he hit 6 or 7 threes in that game against them. But becoming a much better rebounder. You can tell he's been in the weight room. He's stronger. He's playing with more confidence, but really hit the glass well for you on Saturday.
Yeah, no, Jared, even last year, and he's always been, I think, been a good defensive rebounder. You know, he only had one offensive rebound. He's not a tremendous offensive rebounder, but Jared really has been he's a good defensive rebounder, and obviously we need all the help we can get on the defensive end, but I thought he really controlled the defensive glass for us. They only had 4 offensive rebounds for the game. But yeah, you can tell he's got a little more mobility. He's a little bigger. I mean, he needs to, you look at his game, he had 9 and 12. You're like, hey, that's a good game, but he's 3 of 10 from the field. He's got to do better. Same thing with Aaron. Aaron had 11 points, 3 assists, but he's 4 for 11. So those two guys combined are 7 for 21, which is 33%. I mean, that's not a good enough percentage. So those guys got to, put the ball in the basket at a little higher rate than what they did. You look at everybody else, 2 for 5, 6 for 7, 1 for 2, 1 for 2. I mean, really, they just need to finish better inside the paint.
And, had good games, could have had great games for you. And obviously, and with this team, and you mentioned the offensive struggles, those are a couple guys who can score it when the opportunity's there. They're going to have to burden some of that load until the rest of them can, or you can figure out a way to get more points.
Well, like I said, what happens is some of our guys play the same position. As you look over your teams through the years and you try to figure out, hey, how did we have success? It either goes two ways. Either your top 3 guys really put up numbers. When it's Dwayne Brunson, Craig Nicholson, Carson Conrad, he was one guy's getting 19, one guy's getting 16 and a half, and the third guy's getting 14. So those guys alone carry the burden, and everyone else just kind of fills in behind. Or you've had other teams where it's, your leading score is 12, but then you have 11, you have 2 10s, a 9, and then after that, though, you have 7s, 8s, and all that. You look at us, it's those main guys aren't getting enough, and then we don't have enough guys doing something. You know what I mean? And that's really, we got to find. I don't know, and I really don't know if we're going to have 3 guys that are going to get enough. So what I feel like we got to do, we got to get more bench. You look at the Emporia game, we had 6 points scored off the bench. Our bench play, and again, I think maybe we can get that with Alvin and Perry somewhat, but we got to figure out how to get them on the floor and still not take away from Nige and Aaron's minutes, whether it be going smaller, getting Alvin down to the 3 somewhat, because our bench play is just, non-existent as far as scoring so far once we've got into conference.
All right, finals week this week. You don't play until Sunday afternoon, so kind of an interesting week. I know blending, getting the tests done and everything in the classroom, but also practicing, and now you don't play for a week, so a chance for you guys to hopefully get better during this time.
No question. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Hey, we just got to get better. You just got to win this day, the old cliche. But and we're trying to put in some more stuff and get better movement and get some things going, better spacing to kind of do everything we can to help our guys. These 3 games, are not what it's not going to be Sterling. Nothing against Sterling. Kansas Wesleyan is better than Sterling, and then Bethel and Avila are much better than Kansas Wesleyan. You know what I mean? These aren't games that we can just show up and it goes in the W column. I mean, we're going to have to play these 3 games, and they're coming fast. You play, I think, Sunday, Tuesday, Friday. So, I mean, this is a big test for us. We got to utilize these games to get wins, get going again, but gain some confidence and get some, just be better.
Yeah, and I was just going to bring that point up. I mean, this will be a step up, even though we've talked about it. The KCAC isn't like it used to be. There's some talented players, and certainly their athleticism and athletic ability has elevated. But look at Bethel. I mean, what happened a year ago? And then Avila gave Pitt State all they wanted last week and ended up winning by 9. But that was a 1-point game throughout.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to play. And like I said, Kansas Wesleyan is much is better than Sterling. But Bethel, hey, that guy might be the best player we play all year. Last year he had 28 and 14 on us. You know what I mean? he's a good player, and we should have been beat. We were down 4 to 15 seconds and pulled off a miracle to avoid the loss to them and won in double overtime. And then Avila's got some players now. They got some talent. You're right. They went down to Pitt State, had a 5-point lead at half, and like I said, I think it was a 1-point lead with under 10 minutes to go. And then Pitt finally at the end pulled away. These aren't the teams that we played years ago. They look a lot different, and they are a lot different. Their athleticism, I'd say in the past, our size and athleticism just overwhelmed them. That's not the case. If you go out in warm-ups, they're more athletic usually than we are. I don't know necessarily that the size isn't necessarily a factor. I think we're probably still a little bit bigger, but I mean just the overall sheer athleticism and ability of these teams has really greatly improved over the years, and these will be tests. We'll have to play well. You know, Sterling was probably a game we were going to win no matter how we played. These games we will have to, if we play very poorly like we did last year, we're going to be in the same situation we were a year ago. So we have to earn victory. We have to play well.
All right, sounds good. Well, hopefully a good week of practice mixed in there with finals, and we will see you Sunday when you take on those Coyotes of Kansas Wesleyan.
All right, thanks, Jordan.
That's head coach Mark Johnson of the Fort Hays State Tigers. Again, women play on Wednesday. The men will be in action on Sunday at Gross Coliseum. You can catch Tiger Talk online, the video replay at HaysPost.com, or catch it on Eagle Cable Channel 14 and 614, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. Tiger Talk brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors: the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, part of the University of Kansas Health System, the Taco Shop, Adams Brown, Barron and Ball, Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, BTI, and G&L Tire and Automotive, and of course the great folks here at Horizon Appliance and Mattress, where they have the lowest prices on kitchen and laundry appliances, Traeger grills, and of course mattresses. Are at 1501 East 27th and Hayes. This is our final program for a while. We won't be back until the 13th of January. We've got travel for the Florida trip on Monday, and then a couple of weeks off with Christmas. And then the Tigers, the Monday after New Year's, will be in action that night, so no program. So we'll talk to you again in about a month. We'll see you right here from Horizon Appliance and Mattress on Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network.